Uh, Good morning and happy hump day, everyone. Let's get to my low, my high, my active kindness. Let's see, what would be my low? I guess my low is, well, I'm definitely feeling much less stressed now regarding the fact, pretty much the busy part of this week is all but done with, which is great. But as I woke up this morning, because it occurred to me, as some of you guys know, I make pickles every now and again. I only have 4 jars of homemade pickles left. I'm going to have to make more. So honestly, whenever I make pickles though, it's always so stressful because obviously I want to make a pretty big batch, one that I could use for, multiple, gifts, obviously. But also just because to make a batch that big, because I'm thinking I'm gonna have close to 30 jars of pickles to make, which isn't nearly as many as I had way back in January, but it's still a pretty significant number. And to get that many jars, I gotta think, okay, how many cucumbers am I gonna need to get? How much garlic am I gonna need to get? There's a lot that goes into making pickles. And I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit stressful to figure out. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love doing it. And hopefully this set of pickles that I make shouldn't be, difficult in the realm of, in terms of getting it all done. Again, 30 is a lot easier to do than over 50. But there's just a lot to think about. So at some point I'm gonna have to do it soon. Really soon. Let's see. My highs, I got to spend the evening with my family yesterday. That was a lot of fun. Got to see my mom and my dad, which, I love my mom and dad, so it's always great to see them. And honestly, you know what? Here's the other thing I was worried about too. This is also part of my low. Because remember I told you at the last second, yesterday, that my mom was going to have eye surgery? Well, here's the thing. It technically was eye surgery, but it wasn't anything too serious. Basically, for whatever reason, she can't see her periphery very well, so they just fixed that. Whenever I think of anyone having eye surgery, I'm they're going to be blind for the next week or so. And considering what my mom will be doing literally in a few days, there's almost no point of really even doing that kind of surgery. But doctor recommends she get it done, so she got it done. But when I get home, I'm obviously ready to see her, and I'm like, shouldn't there be bandages over her eyes? Or at least some sunglasses? But no, she's perfectly fine. I mean, right now it is a little bit stressful because literally for 10 minutes every hour on the hour, she has to put ice on the parts of her face where they perform surgery on her. So that's a little bit stressful. But everything else, she's fine. So mom got eye surgery okay. That's great. Let's see. What was my act of kindness? Well, did several acts of kindness. I took out the garbage, emptied the dehumidifier for my dad. Did a couple things. So, yeah. I mean, it's the last Thursday in June, and I did really say Thursday. The last Wednesday in June, and again, the stressful part of my week is over. I can almost write out the rest of the month in style. That should be good. Let's see. Unfortunately, again, it's still the really slow part of the week. Not really much in the realm of much going on. I mean, America's Got Talent was on last night, and that was a lot of fun to watch. Saw some really good acts there. But other than that, it's been pretty quiet. In fact, it's been so quiet, I'm thinking about playing Pokemon games on my laptop again. In fact, I literally just download Pokemon Black and Pokemon White. I might actually get Black 2 and White 2 just so I have them. Which, honestly, I like doing that. Honestly, I like getting Pokemon games. So, you know what? I think I know what I want to talk about today. Yeah, I know exactly what I'm going to talk about. Because I had been playing Pokemon for a very long time. Up until about the end of Generation 7. And with the technology of being able to trade and making up your own teams online, stuff like that, you know, I've beaten a lot of Pokemon games. So, I'm actually going to tell you exactly what teams I had when I beat the games. Starting with Gen 1, my first Pokemon game was Pokemon Red. Honestly, it took me forever to beat Pokemon Red because of the strength puzzles. I always kept getting lost. So, and here's what's also funny too. I just used my Charizard throughout the entirety of the game. And I knew my Charizard wouldn't get me through everything. So, my brother traded me his Victory Bell. And, it was Charizard, Victory Bell, because the Bellsprout family wasn't in Red. A level 16 Pidgey, I think. No, it was, I think I had all 3 legendary birds, and, a Machop I got on Victory Road, and that was it. I had no idea what I was doing at all. I actually became so disenfranchised with the strength puzzles in Pokemon Red, because it took me months to get through Victory Road, because I had no idea how the strength puzzles worked. Embarrassingly enough, right? I was so disenfranchised, I didn't start playing the games again until Pokemon Diamond. And then Platinum. Which Platinum is what I eventually beat. But I'll get to that in a second. So, I played Platinum for a little while, but I get into college. And I learned you can actually play Pokemon games on your computer. So the first game I played was technically Pokemon Gold. But then I played Crystal. So, I suppose with Pokemon Gold, because that was the Generation 2 game I beat first. My team was Feraligatr. My college roommate was able to trade me his Typhlosion, which is great. Alakazam, Pidgeot, Ampharos, and shoot. I can't remember what the last Pokemon I had was. I know I had those 5. Did I? What was it? Maybe. I'm trying to think over my head the roster in Pokemon Gold, Silver, Crystal. I can't remember. Maybe I had Sudowoodo? No, it wasn't Sudowoodo. You know what? I can't remember. I really can't remember at all. Crazy, right? Although, when I played Crystal, I had a little idea. I knew what I was doing because I was watching Chucker Conroy a lot. So I must have beat that game a bunch of times. The Feraligatr was always my starter. I always wanted to get in Donphan because thanks to Chucker Conroy, I learned how to do that. Learned how to get him. Dragonite, I was able to get, the one with extreme speed, of course. Let's see, what else? I've been with Skarmory before. I had Steelix and Scizor. Seriously, I must have beaten Crystal so many times I couldn't possibly tell you what my definitive team was. And the same thing with like Emerald and Fire Red and Leaf Green, because that's when I learned you can actually get like so many, because thanks to PK hacks and, Pokemon ROMs, you can actually like pretty much beat the game with any team you want. If you know what you're doing. But I do remember I beat Emerald with like all 3 starters, a Slacking, what else? I think I definitely used Alakazam, of course. And I forgot what flying type I had, I'm not gonna lie. Let's see. Now Platinum, back to a regularly scheduled program with Platinum, that was the first legit Pokemon game I had beaten since Red. And I beat it while I was a Trinity Poly, way back in 2009. And my team was, again, because I was a loser with 2 DSs and therefore had to trade with myself, all 3 starters, Alakazam, seeing if they, yeah, I know, Alakazam, I really like Alakazam, I'm sorry. Rhyperior and Glade. When I beat it again, however, and therefore I knew what I was doing, I didn't just have a team of 6, I had a team of like 20. Because I had so many good Pokemon, I really couldn't figure out what my definitive team was. And that's when I got into playing more and more and trading and stuff like that. Pokemon games are so much fun. Let's see. Then Black and White came out. Now, because of the new leveling up system, and because of how you couldn't, so basically getting my 3, I was always going to use 3 starters, that's usually my thing, but no Alakazam, what do? So, for Pokemon Black and White, and Black 2 and White 2, 5 Pokemon that were always on my team were Superior, Emboar, Samurott, Conkeldurr, it's Conkeldurr, but I always call it Conkeldurr, and Gigalith. And in Black and White, I was actually able to get Volcarona. Crazy, right? And for Black 2 and White 2, I used Haxorus. Now we get to X and Y. With X and Y, I used the 3 stars again, so Chestnut, Delphox, and Greninja. I actually had both of the fossil Pokemon, Tyrantrum and Aurorus, and Talonflame. That was my team of 6. And now we have, here's the thing, I got through the vast majority of Sun and Moon. I never really played Ultra yet. I still haven't. But if I finished, because I got to pretty much the Elite Four. I pretty much got to the Elite Four in Sun and Moon, so I pretty much all but beat the game. My team, thanks to trading and all that stuff and Pokemon Home, and seriously, by the time you had Sun and Moon, you had so many ways of getting older generation Pokemon in the new games. So my team was the 3 starters. So Decidueye, Incineroar, Primarina, and I used the Sinnoh starters, Infernape, Torterra, and Polion, which, come to think of it, might be the set of starters I've used the most. Crazy, right? So that's where I've stopped. I never played Sword and Shield. I haven't played Scarlet and Violet. Maybe someday I'll get back into playing the games. But yeah, it feels great going over like what I've done and what I can do. And again, thanks to technology, you can play these games on your computer, and you can come up with whatever team you want if you know how to use PK hacks. It's just a lot of fun. I mean, again, part of me has always wanted to battle competitively, but in fact, seriously, one thing I really like to watch, I never really say this much, I love watching competitive Pokemon battles. I do, because they're so much different than just simply playing through the game, because, listen, if you play a Pokemon game, it's pretty easy. Just make your Pokemon really strong, give it a whole bunch of moves, and if you know what you're doing, you can beat just about anything. Playing competitively, though, is much different because, let's be real here, a real-life person, is more difficult to beat than, say, NPCs in the computer. At least in a real game. So, when it comes to battling competitively, there's just so much strategy involved. There's like team predictions. You have to worry about traps and hazards. You have to worry about, again, predicting when they're going to switch. If they have U-turn on, if they're using stealth rock or spikes or toxic spikes. Like, there are so many things you have to consider when it comes to battling competitively. Meanwhile, you have a guy like me who just have, okay, here's 4 moves that are easily the most powerful this Pokemon can learn. Do your thing. It doesn't work that way in competitive. Like, there are some Pokemon that have what's called 4 move slot syndrome, which obviously a Pokemon can only have 4 moves, but it can use so many other moves really well. It's hard to choose down to only 4. Some Pokemon are really only good at rapid spinning. Some Pokemon are only good for setting traps, or both. Some Pokemon are only good at defense. Some Pokemon are really good at being offensively. Some Pokemon are great at stalling. Like, there's a lot to consider if you're ever going to battle competitively. And, I mean, well, if I had a lot of free time, I didn't have to worry about money, I would totally probably do it. But, sadly at the moment, that isn't how it is. I do want to, though. And maybe someday I will. Yeah, that's really about it. I mean, if I ever did battle competitively, though, I think I'd rather do 6-on-6 rather than 4-on-4. Because if you're doing double battles, you can only send 4 Pokemon in the game. I'd rather do 6-on-6. So I have a lot of respect for VGC. I think that's the 2v2 format. But I don't think that'd necessarily be for me. I can barely remember keeping up with 6-on-6. I hope y'all like this video. If you like, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm on social media. As always, I'm going to home this video for all you guys watching Joe Name. Hopefully you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. Every one of my videos, I want to talk to you, back. Take care and make good choices. 607 all day, baby.